Hey guys, welcome to SkyPrep Academy. In today's video, we're going to be diving into the introduction of aviation. But before that, I just want to explain to you guys what we are and what we do exactly. So, SkyPrep Academy is an online aviation academy. We give online aviation courses. We actually currently have a 70% off sale that will be ending very soon on the course. So if you're interested in increasing your aviation knowledge and fully preparing for your aviation career, then I strongly recommend you to check the link in bio and enroll with us in SkyPrep Academy. So let's begin today's presentation. Okay, so this is the sky is not the limit; it's only the beginning. Let's get started. So, the aviation history. Aviation has a rich history that spans over a century. With the Wright brothers' first powered flight was in 1903. It was in North Carolina in the USA. So the two brothers were Wilbur Wright and Orville Wright. They started the first powered flight. So that this is basically the first thing that started aviation. Technology. Aviation relies on sophisticated technology, including engines, avionics, and air traffic control systems to ensure safe and efficient operations. Uh, did you know that statistically, aviation is the safest mode of transport on Earth? It's safer than driving cars. It's safer than driving trains. It's extremely safe as we have a lot of protocols we need to follow, a lot of procedures. Everyone does their job in the aviation industry for essentially for the safety of the passengers and the crew. So if you get on that plane, you're gonna be safe. You're gonna be safe for the remainder of the flights. Okay. The engine is the heart of an airplane, but the pilot is the soul. Types of aircraft. There are many types of aircraft, each designed for specific purposes such as commercial transport, military operations, and recreation. These include airplanes, helicopters, gliders, hot air balloons, and drones. So we do have a lot of types of aircraft in aviation. They're not just airplanes, so you need to know how to differentiate from the airplanes and the type of aircrafts. And uh, aviation is not just about airplanes. Airplanes are just a type of aircraft in the aviation industry. So as we said, we have military operations, we have fighter jets, we have propeller aircrafts for flight training, for example. We have gliders that do not have an engine actually or a propeller. Gliders are not powered by any engines. So basically, how they work in takeoff, sometimes um, you're gonna have another aircraft with like a rope attached to the glider, and then it has a propeller, the other aircraft. So it takes off, and then automatically it's as if the glider behind it is the one taking off. So that's how they get it upwards, and then it gets detached, and you can then fly upwards as you have a gliding distance, a high gliding distance. Okay, we do have helicopters, hot air balloons, drones, and all of these aircraft types are a part of aviation. Flight mechanics, the principles of aerodynamics. Uh, we have something that we call the principles of flight, which are aerodynamics. We are definitely going to be talking about them in future videos. Okay, so in aviation or flight mechanics, we have aerodynamics, navigation, meteorology. It plays critical roles in aviation, allowing pilots to control and navigate their aircraft. So you have navigation. For example, in the cockpit, you have many navigation instruments that are crucial to know. You have something that we call the IRS, which is the inertial reference system. We have a lot of navigation equipment on the aircraft and the cockpit. So we're definitely going to be diving deeper into this subject later on. as we progress in the videos. All right, so we have something that we call a regulations, so aviation regulations. Aviation is heavily regulated to ensure safety, with governing bodies such as the Federal Aviation Administration, the United States, and the International Civil Aviation Organization at the global level. So, in aviation, we have many rules. You're gonna see, uh, you need to, you need to learn aviation as if you're a lawyer. Uh, when you study aviation, you need to study all the regulations, because on the oral exams you're going to be asked certain situations about, for example, about flying with friends. Can you do so and so? Who can pay for the fuel if you have the private pilot license? There are many regulations. There's a book which we call the FAR, specifically for the FAA. It's Federal Aviation Regulations. So it's a very high number of pages that have sections and so on that talk about the regulations of aviation. So the organization of the United States of Aviation is the Federal Aviation Administration, and in global level, for example, in Africa and Europe and so on, you have the ICAO, which is the International Civil Aviation Organization. Okay? In flight training, pilots and other professionals require extensive training and certification to ensure they have the necessary skill and knowledge to operate the aircraft safely. So for example, if you go to a flight school, you're not going to find the instructors not knowledgeable enough. You're not going to find the people the people who teach you there, the captains and so on. They're definitely going to be having, for example, 40 years of flight experience and so on. So they know how to teach you and so on. Okay, so they definitely require and they must require the extensive training and certification to ensure that they have the necessary skills and knowledge to operate the aircraft. Safety, aviation safety. Safety is paramount in aviation, with numerous safety protocols and procedures in place to prevent accidents and incidents. So safety is a very important aspect of aviation. Um, there are many, as we said earlier, there are many safety protocols and procedures that must be followed during the flight. For example, checklists. We have something that we call checklists. Checklists are basically a set of procedures that are done in all phases of flight. So before starting the engine, after starting the engine, before taxiing, after taxiing, before takeoff, after takeoff, climbing 10,000 feet, after passing 10,000 feet. You have before descent preparation, approach, and then uh, after landing, and then you have parking, securing the aircraft, and so on. Okay. All right. The next thing we're going to be talking about is air traffic control. Air traffic controllers play a crucial role in managing the flow of air traffic and ensuring the safe separation of aircraft. Air traffic control is basically a tower that contains multiple sectors that control the phases of flight. So basically, you have you have the delivery, the ground, the tower, and then after that you have the centers, the departure, and so on. So the delivery basically gives you clearance to uh, go or to land in the destination airport. Okay, so they gave you permission essentially. Um, and then next up we said ground. So the ground basically controls everything that's happening on the ground, as the name suggests. So taxiing, pushback, everything related to movement of the ground, okay, to ensure, as we said, safe separation of aircraft. And the tower clears you for takeoff, tells you to wait until another plane lands, clears you for landing. So basically, the tower controls the runways, okay. Um, and then we have the departures, which just tell you headings and altitudes and so on. Environmental impact. Impact. Aviation can have a significant environmental impact due to emissions, noise pollutions, and other factors leading to efforts to reduce its environmental footprint. So, as pilots, we need to understand the impact, the environmental impact of aviation. Why do we need to understand it? Because we need to know when and how to prevent as much as we can those environmental footprints or impacts. For example, there are certain stuff that we can do while flying that prevents us from further increasing the environmental impact. And if every pilot does these, or if every pilot is conscious of these consequences, then we're definitely going to have a increasingly high number of uh, um, uh, a very high number of uh, decrease in the environmental impact of aviation. Airport operations. Airports are complex facilities that require careful management to ensure the safe and efficient movement of aircraft and passengers. Uh, yeah, so the operations of the airport, there are many. That's why that's another reason for the safety of aviation, even more. So airports are not just the places for planes to park and then just take off again. No, airports have extremely complex facilities. They have a lot of people working in various sectors of the airport uh, to all help each other for the safety of passengers and the crew at the end. So they require careful management in every single aspect in detail. Uh, the pilots, the crew, the ground services, the pushback, the air traffic control, all of these things or all of these aspects are part of the airport facilities. Okay? Economic impact. Aviation plays a vital role in global commerce, with air travel facilitating trade and tourism around the world. So aviation uh, has a very high need for commerce, with air travel facilitating trade and tourism around the world. So as we said, uh, airlines, we need to be aware that airlines are the ones who need to pay for the fuel. For example, it's not just free fuel, so it's definitely it's definitely good to consider the fuel. But what we're talking about here is the need for travel in the point of view of passengers. So we need to know that aviation is extremely growing in the past decade or in the past century. It has grown extremely to an extremely high level. Uh, yeah, so passengers need to travel a lot more than before, and this is good for the airlines, but you need to consider also the consequences, as you said, the environmental impacts, the fuel costs of the airlines, and so on. Yeah, we already talked about the environmental impact. Economic impact, we did talk about that as well. So yeah, thank you so much for tuning in today with SkyPrep Academy. If you have any questions, feel free to comment down below. We'll be answering those questions. And if you want to increase your aviation knowledge and be fully prepared for flight school and your aviation career in life, we extremely recommend you to enroll with us and check the link in bio with SkyPrep Academy. So yeah, thank you so much, and we'll see you in the next video.